Hello, everyone. It's time for Vanishing Land Stories, the podcast. I'm your host, Pete Costanas. This is episode 267, season 11. Today's date is October 22nd, 2023, and welcome to the show. Yes, I am back for another episode. So on today's program, I will talk about my memories and comparison of two animated programs that came overseas, especially from not especially, they were from Japan. One is Speed Racer, and the other one is Prince Planet. And like I said, I'll talk about my memories of the show, my favorite episodes, and a little history of both shows as well. Also, I'll talk about, here's the subject, I don't think I ever talked about this, is Hillman's Pure Foods. It's a grocery store in Chicago. I'll talk about the locations, a little history, and my memories of that grocery store in Chicago. Okay. Right now, the program will go into a commercial break. And this program is brought to you by Team Flakes. I remember this. And it's from Nabisco. And here's a commercial from 1981. So just sit back, kick off your shoes, relax, and enjoy the commercials. Excuse me. Talking too fast. Okay, and I'll be right back. Thank you, everyone.
You are looking at 4 of the best cereals you've ever tasted. You are looking at a Team Flake. You are looking at the taste of wheat, the taste of corn, the taste of oats, and the crunchy taste of rice. Team Flakes. 4 great tastes teamed up to create one deliciously crunchy cereal. It may not look remarkably different, but what your eye can't see, your tongue will taste. Team Flakes from Nabisco. A team of taste in every flake.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
All right, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed that commercial for Team Flakes from 1981. Team Flakes was from the Nabisco company. I remember this cereal very well. I'll give you a little, brief history of this. It was introduced in 1963, and then in the early 70s, they removed the word flake from the large title box, and now it's referred just Team Flakes and smaller like that. It claims that this cereal stays crunchier in milk than any others. I wouldn't know. I didn't need it. I guess it did. And so it had four separate grains, and had rice, wheat, corn, and oats. Just what it said in the commercial, and a lot of nutritional benefits. That's what we need. You know something? I love cornflakes. I really do. It's one of my favorites. I don't eat them, not as much, but Frosted Flakes is great, but it's frosted with sugar, and that's a no-no. You got to watch it. And kids are, no wonder, are hyperactive like that. Team Flakes was on the market until 1990, and they discontinued it. But, a lot of people still miss it. But that's a shame. Because it sounded like a good product. It really did. I missed the opportunity of having this. That's a shame. Okay. All right. At the beginning of the program, I mentioned I'm going to talk about my memories and two animated TV shows, Speed Racer and Prince Planet, and do some comparisons with the shows. I watched both of them when I was a kid. Also, I'll talk about Hillman's Pure Foods grocery store in Chicago. Before I get started, I want to mention one thing. I still get suggestions from people. They send me emails and messages. They tell me, oh, why don't you talk about this? Why don't you talk about that? I get that almost not every day, like every other day. One guy suggested, why don't you talk about Meigs Field? Because it's gone, of course. And I told him, yeah, it's an interesting subject. It really is. You know, it's very intriguing. The problem is, it's very controversial how it disappeared, and that's a little touchy, but I want to talk about it. I do, but I like to talk about the history of it and how it ended, but we all know what happened. So maybe down the road I will discuss it. We'll see. Do it as how should I say this? Tastefully. I think a lot of people are still mad about it. What happened? But the problem is it happened a long time ago, so you got to move on. There are a lot of things we miss in Chicago that we can't let go. And that's one of them. So, what are you going to do? Times are changing. That's how it is. Okay. Right now, I'll talk about Speed Racer. I've talked about this on a previous podcast, maybe about a couple of years ago. And I talk about my memories of that, so I will do it again. And I know I'm going to get someone's going to email and say, why are you talking about this again? I already heard it. Well, you know what? It's my podcast. I'll talk as I please. No, I didn't say that to him. It's, but people want to hear something fresh and something that I discovered about the show that I did not discuss in the other episode. We'll see. Okay. So the original run was from June 1966, and well, no, that's wrong. That's the comics. Yeah, it was based on a comic book. They call it manga. We call it that, and it was called Mach Go Go Go. That's what it's called, and it ran from April 2nd, 1967, all the way to March 31st, 1968. I think it was earlier. I could be wrong. Okay. It had 52 episodes, and it starred, of course, Speed Racer. And he was a very ambitious young man that wanted to be a great car racer. Just like his brother Rex. I'll get to him in a moment. And he drove the Mach 5, and that is the coolest car I ever seen. And when someone would mention Speed Racer, you would mention the first thing that comes up is the Mach 5, and with its wonderful features of that. And I'll talk about the characters first. There was Speed Racer, there was Trixie, and see, Trixie was his girlfriend. She would get jealous right away if Speed was with another girl. But they seem very, very serious to one another. So, and then we have, we have Pops Racer, his father. We have Mom Racer. She wasn't shown much. She was just at home. Cooking, doing housework, all that. But she was a great supporting person, for her family. She loved her family so much. Also, we have Spritle and Chim Chim, the biggest scene stealers in cartoon history, besides Shaggy and Scooby Doo. But Chim Chim was number one. I mean, when you waiting for him to do something, because he was so mischievous, and not as mischievous. He was more mischievous than Spritle, But they just want to tag along with Speed whenever he wanted to go somewhere or he was involved with something that involves with criminals and all that. But they were always hiding in the trunk, But and at the end, they always helped out Speed, and Speed was always grateful to them. So he was happy that they came. First he was mad, then he was happy. Okay, and then we also have Racer X, the mysterious Racer X. At first he was called the Mask Racer, and he was none other than Speed's older brother, Rex Racer, who ran a home years ago. And so he drove the Shooting Star. That was the number 9. And Speed had his suspicions that it was Rex. All the way till the end. And but Rex Racer always looked out for him in the background. He always helped out, and that's great. He was a big brother. But a lot of people thought that he was a bad guy. But I think that was spread out like the media, like we have today. It was false like that. Other supporting characters, there was only one I remember is Inspector Detector. He was, of course, probably the head of the police force. I don't know what city he was in, but so I don't know. Anyway, I'll go quickly with the what's featured on the Mach 5 was the steering wheel, and had these wonderful features. Whenever Speed was in trouble, he would use them. Go very fast. When you press the letter A, how many buttons were there? 7, I think. Maybe 8. I'll get to it. So we have button number A, that was the jacks, and you press it and go up like that. And then you have B, and you have the grip tires. That's great for, treacherous roads, kind of bumpy. Also, we have C. This is the one a lot of people remember, is the rotary saws. You saw them. You press the button, they come out and go like that. I like that one. And also D was the cockpit enclosure. It's like a cover to protect maybe bullets flying or like that, or anything liquid or something like that. And Speed and his passenger were safe like that. So it was like a roof like that. Also, E was the lighting, the forward lighting, but they were like beaming like that, very bright, And also F was like this, you would go, it was like a periscope in a way, and you would see when Speed was driving underwater, he would look, and see what's going on underneath the ocean like that. And it also had an oxygen tank. I remember one episode, like they ran out, him and Twinkle Banks, the car ran out of oxygen, and it was like, oh my God, that was tense. That was a cliffhanger. G, we have the homing pigeon. It was like a metal bird. Speed would write a message, and he would send it home. First, but the homing pigeon would just, or he would tie a rope, and he would, if you want to climb a mountain like that. But there was one button that was featured in one episode where it was by the gear shift. It was H. It was for home. So when Cruncher Block, one of the bad guys, pressed it, and the homing pigeon was sent home. But there was no message, so but it had a clue. They had Rick Clay, so Trixie was examining it, and she goes, I think she probably knows where Speed was. Isn't that amazing? Okay, my memories of this show. It started syndicating in Channel 32, I think, in the morning, probably late 60s, early 70s. I didn't see it, because I was at school. and like most people. Then it moved to the afternoon, and that's where it became a huge hit. People came home from school, like myself and my brothers, and we watched the show religiously every single day. And we couldn't wait for the next episode, because they had cliffhangers, and we were looking forward to a new episode. And we've seen these episodes 100 times. I still watch it. So I remember it was right after Magilla Gorilla. Remember that, and other TV shows like that. I'll talk about the lineup one day of my favorite shows on that channel. That and great memories of it. And it was there until it moved to Channel 44. Probably, I'm not sure, 70. Probably when I was in high school. You can still watch it. Channel 44 WSNS TV was a great station. It had great reruns. It was very low budget, but it was very memorable to most Chicagoans, like myself. And also on Channel 44, they broadcast Prince Planet. I don't know if Prince Planet was on Channel 32. Maybe. I think it was. I'm not sure. All I remember, the Prince Planet was on Channel 44. Okay. What's memorable about Speed Racer was the episodes and the bad guys and their names. And the cars they had. Like the car acrobatic team or Cruncher Block, or the Mammoth car. They had the Junkyard race. They had the Most Dangerous race. That was a 3-parter with the car acrobatic team. I like that. Or the Millage. It was like a ghost like that. Oh, so many others. And the Assassins, in Japan, they had that. And there's sound effects. I forgot to mention one more person is Sparky. He was a mechanic. He was also Speed's friend, and he helped out fixing the car, repairing, doing the repairs. They had a falling out on one episode, but, they kiss and made up. It's fine. Okay. And I like with the fights, especially when Speed was fighting Pops and Racer X. They make those sounds like that. Me and my brother love that. We really do. Or like Jim was involved, and there was one time the whole gang was in a mine shaft, and they all came out covered with soot, and they showed Jim, making a face going and this was soot coming out of his ears. Oh, there was another episode I enjoyed was the pineapple. When they had the pineapple race, and there were these bad guys. They were trying to retrieve a diamond, and it was hidden in a pineapple. And then everyone was throwing the pineapple back and forth. And the last episode was like the race around the world. That was exciting, but it was sad because it was the end like that. And they didn't make any more. No, that was that. So later on, Speed Racer was syndicated to cable. MTV ran it, and then it came out in VHS and DVD and Blu-ray. The first time I bought on DVD was in San Diego. They had it on sale. I had to buy it. Indeed. So that was great. And so when I came home from San Diego and started watching it with my brother and sometimes myself, it was fun. It was great to relive that. And then the Blu-ray came out, which was great. I bought the Blu-ray. It looks gorgeous. And the sound is wonderful. And they also have a special edition Blu-ray with the Japanese version. But I guess if you want both, fine. But I just bought the English version of that. And they made a movie, live action movie. It wasn't well received. I saw it. It was like, it was all right. I like John Goodman as Pops Racer. He was great. Susan Sarandon played Mom, but she had a bigger role in the movie, which was interesting. I'm glad they did that. But it was nice to see her on screen like that. I've seen it once, but maybe I'll see it again just to pass the time. I don't know. It didn't do well in the box office like that, and I think they remade they remade the cartoons more. They did the reboot and all that, and it wasn't the same. The original's the best. It really was. So right now I'm going to play the theme song that a lot of people love and can't get out of their heads. So here's the introduction of Speed Racer, and when I come back, I'll talk about Prince Planet. Okay? So here we go. Thank you, everyone.
Here comes Speed Racer, he's a demon on wheels. He's a demon and he's gonna be chasing after someone. He's gaining on you, so you better look alive. He's busy revving up the powerful Mach 5. And when the odds are against him and there's dangerous work to do, bet your life, Speed Racer, see it through. Go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go! He's up and flying as he guns a car around the track. He's jamming down the pedal like he's never coming back. Adventure's waiting just ahead. Go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go!
Okay, I am back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the introduction of Speed Racer. I know it's fun to listen. Here comes Speed Racer. Dun 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 dun. Oh, that's a great theme song. I love it. Before I get started on Prince Planet, there's a few more things I want to mention about Speed Racer. About some characters in the cars. One character that stood out was Snake Oiler, part of the car acrobatic team. He was he was a badass. He really was. He didn't listen. And of course, the leader was Captain Terror, and he had his teeth. And he didn't talk. But he had his teeth shown like that. He looked like they were clenched, like the like that. Of course, there was another episode which was one of my favorites. It was called the GRX, and that was one of the fastest car in the world, and it was very fast. But the problem was, when you were driving it, you developed this thirst, strong thirst for water, and once you drink the water, you get so scared and then you crash and it doesn't work. So because they sprayed a formula before you enter the car. So that was fun. I remember when Jim was driving at one time, he tried to stop and then there was a grasshopper on the brake pedal. Oh boy. You know what? Once I publish this episode, you can comment on your favorite episodes, your favorite scenes. I love to read them. It is, I would have a good time. It's fun. It's really fun to read that. It's one of the most endearing shows that we've grew up with. I don't think they would show this in the afternoon today. How things are in the world. So I understand. So that's a shame. It really is. Unless it's on cable or streaming. I'm sure it's on streaming somewhere. And you can watch it or buy the DVD. Help yourself. Keep it. That's what I would do. If I'm in the mood for Speed Racer, I just plop a DVD in. I'm all set. And all the nonsense and the craziness in the world goes away. It's really therapeutic. Okay, right now I'll talk about Prince Planet. Now, this is, I talked about in the beginning, I'm trying to compare Prince Planet with Speed Racer. The only thing, the only thing that was the same, they both were from Japan, and they did have some comedy in both shows. And they also dealt with bad guys. But the difference was the bad guys were not from outer space, but the bad guys were not from Earth. Some of them were from Earth, but others were from outer space and other planets. And also the same. What was the same was Prince Vine had a supporting cast, which is great. He had that. Okay, and I'll give you a history of the show. It first ran in June 3rd, 1965, ended in May 1966. 52 episodes. Now, there's something that's the same with Speed Racer, the amount of episodes they produce. Like that. And let's see. So the English version was released on September 1966, and they did some dubbing. The dubbing is kind of not very clear. It's kind of sloppy. But it's fun to watch anyway. So what? And Prince Planet was from a planet called Radion, and he was sent here on Earth to like a humanitarian, to do to fight evil and all that. And he wore this space outfit, and he was a young boy, and he had this pendant with the letter P on it. And it gave him great power. And then whenever he was in trouble, he would hold the pendant and go pee pee, and I can't say that word, pee pee pazzow or something like that. I gotta find, yeah, pee pee pazzow. Thank you. So, but usually he was in disguise as Bobby, and I'll get to that in a second. So when he arrived on Earth, he met a girl named Diana Worthy, and she's the one who suggested for him to be Bobby. And that was at the end of the first episode. And she lived on a ranch with her father, Pops Worthy. Pops Worthy, Pops Racer. You get it? And then in the second episode, they introduced Dan Dynamo, the strongest man in the world. He was a wrestler, and he joined the Prince Planet team. So they were forming a team. And then the third episode was introduced his greatest villain, Warlock, and he was from I think he was from Mars, and he was the master of Martian magic. He stole a scroll, and it had like spells and all that. And so he was, and then the last team member of the group was Ajibaba of Abaddon, and he was a enemy of Warlock, but then he became an arch enemy of Prince Planet, and many of the episodes dealt with Warlock. He wasn't there every episode, just that he would start all kinds of trouble. He was like the Joker with Batman in a way. Then until episode 30, he that was like his last episode until at the end, towards the end, and then there was a new nemesis. His name was Crag, and he was from the planet Cragmire. And he looked like a magician, a top hat and kind of tall, and he had this pocket watch, and it was like he would throw it, and it had blades on it. Also, he would produce cold. He would blow, from his breath, or just raise his arms or something like that. And he had bat wings for him to fly. And he became a real bad guy, for Prince Planet. And at the end, the second last episode, Warlock returned, to battle the Prince Planet team, and he got killed by Prince Planet with the pendant. And then the last episode, Craig got killed. And so there was no way to stop them. I mean, they were both aliens, and they were... how would I say that? Unstoppable. That's what's fun. What's fun about the show was they had other enemies or animals. They had to deal with. Some were from outer space, some were from Earth, and they had some comedy in there as well. Yeah, but not as funny as Speed Racer. No, not as that. Anyway, my memories of watching Prince Planet was, I think it was on channel 32, maybe. I'm trying to, I think it was for briefly. And I could be wrong. And then they moved to channel 44, and it became one of the most popular shows in the afternoon. And everyone watched it. When Channel 44 put some great reruns of TV shows, Prince Planet was there, and people watched it, and they loved it. Even though it was cheap looking, black and white, it was still fun to watch. I loved that. Me and my brothers loved that show. We really did. And we remember the episodes like that. And the bad guys, and that was great. It was there until a few years. I think it debuted in syndication maybe about in the early 70s, and then they yanked it around 76, 77, and it was not ever shown again. I don't think so. I don't remember seeing it. But it became a big hit in Japan. It still is. They ran it in Australia, also a big hit. I was waiting for it to come on video, but no. But then one day, of course, I went to one of the Comic Cons. I think it was San Diego. Yeah, it was San Diego, and it was on DVD, and it was copied, and edited. It was that's the only way you get it, and I bought it. So when I came, just like Speed Racer, I came home and I watched it. It was fun to watch it. The problem was there were a few episodes missing, like at about or 5 or 6, or between 5 and 7 that were missing. It was not 52. It was like 48, 46, like that. And it's a shame because I wanted the complete set. I do know that they released the Japanese version of Prince Planet recently, and they have the entire 52 episodes. I like to see that, but it's in Japanese. I don't know if you do closed caption, not closed caption like you would convert it to English. Maybe, I don't know. I have to do an eBay search, but I heard now it's very expensive to buy. But we'll see. Maybe somebody will sell it and I'll buy it, and try it on my Blu-ray player. See what happens. Okay. Right now, I'm going to play the theme song for Prince Planet, and we love that song. It is memorable as Speed Racer, like that. And at the end of the series, I think Prince Planet finished his mission, and then he returned home. And one of the other supporting characters was his mother. I remember one episode where she came back. She came back and she wanted her son to come back with her, but it really was Warlock in disguise. That was he was so devious. Okay, so here's the theme song to Prince Planet, and when I come back, I will talk about Hillman's Pure Food Stores in Chicago. Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the theme song for Prince Planet. It got cut off in the end. I'm sorry about that. Two more things I want to mention about the show before I get to Hillman's is This show was very violent, so they don't show it anymore on TV. I don't know if it's more violent than Speed Racer. Probably they're equal like that. So there's the similarities of that show. And but there were other shows from Japan animated that were memorable. Like for example, there was Astro Boy. I didn't watch much of that, and let's see, there was Tobar or Tober, the Eighth Man, or something like that. I'm not sure about that. They also had some weird Japanese shows like Johnny Sacco, Ultraman. I'll talk about those one day. They were weird. They had some goofy monsters. It reminds me of the Godzilla movies. That's what it was. Anyway, and one last thing I want to mention about Prince Planet is like his pendant, the energy level. There was always a guy who was monitoring the pendant on his home planet on Radion. He was either asleep, he was not at his working station, he was just, I don't know, he was just goofing off. He was kind of irresponsible. And every time once Prince Planet had this pendant and the energy level was very, very low or it was empty, it was drained out, he was helpless. He was just like an Earthman. But, for some strange reason, that guy came to the rescue and he turned on the energy level, and then Bobby turned into Prince Planet and he saved the world. Like that. You're like on the edge of your seat when he did that. Okay. So that's enough of Prince Planet. Now I'm talking about Hillman's Pure Food Store. I did some research on that. Not much, but I'll talk about my memories of this store because a lot of people miss it. And my mom did shop there once in a while, but so I'll do the best I can. Okay, so I think one of the main stores was it was located on State in Washington, and it was let's see. So a lot of people remember that. They remember the sign like that, and right there was Stop and Shop. It was right next door. And also Hillman's had a cafeteria and it was like in the basement. I think I went there one day when I worked downtown. I just wanted to take a peek at it to see. And it was pretty good. And it was very nice. And let's see. Anyway. So Hillman's Pure Foods were owned by the same owners, and they also had a Hillman's Bakery. That was a food production that was located at 43rd and Pulaski, and it was a huge place. And they had a candy kitchen. They roasted nuts. They prepared foods. They had a bakery with all kinds of cakes and donuts and pastries, and for all the grocery stores, which was kind of cool. And it grew, and they had 13 other locations in Chicago. And it was very known for, it was brightly lit and it was very colorful. The other store a lot of people remember in the old days was at 63rd and Halsted in the Inglewood neighborhood in Chicago, and it was in the basement, and it was at where Sears was. Sears had a huge store, and that closed eventually. They closed about 1976, and then the whole building's gone. Well, that was a shame. And let's see what else. Then Stop and Shop. That was founded by a man. His name was Aaron Yunker. And he ran a successful department store in Iowa. And then he founded Stop and Shop after he moved to Chicago. And then later on, he sold it. And then Stop and Shop and Hillman's were owned by the Stern family. I don't know his first name. And the funny thing, I was looking in the newspapers, the Chicago Tribune Archives. They had a Hillman's store, but they didn't sell food. They sold clothing. I don't know if it's the same one. This is from the 1900s. It's like, they sold dresses, coats, shirts, shoes. They also had, it was like a department store like that. And I don't know what happened. They just changed that. And then they expanded. And then they had Stop and Shop had junior stores, little stores like that. And there was one in 260 East Chestnut and one in 1313 Ritchie Court. I'm not sure where that is exactly. But I remember when I used to work downtown, I used to pass by this store, Stop and Shop. And it was, it was a very interesting store. Okay, so I have the locations of the store. And let's see, I have them right here. There was one on Washington Street, between Dearborn and State. Also in State and Van Buren. I didn't know there was one there. Maybe it was a small one. Okay. Also on the south side, there was on South Parkway. That's like King Drive, like that. It was like 33rd Street, 35th Street. Also at 95th and Jeffrey in the Jeffrey Manor neighborhood. People mentioned that. Also on the southwest side, there was, of course, 63rd and Halsted in Inglewood neighborhood, excuse me. Also at 43rd and Pulaski, I mentioned that place. They got a store there on the corner. Also in Oak Lawn, in 95th and Cicero. I don't remember that one. I think my mom remembered it. Also, a lot of people remember it on the western suburbs at 22nd and Harlem in Berwyn at the Cermak Plaza. There's a few photos of that. On the north side, it was at Lawrence and Broadway, also Devon and Artesian. I posted a picture of that earlier. That's in the Westridge neighborhood. Also in 3 suburban locations, it was Mount Prospect Shopping Plaza at Rand Road and Central. Also at northwest side, North Irving Park and Cicero. Also, there was in Niles at the Golf Mill Shopping Center, which I didn't know that. Yeah. So there were others. Let's see what else. I have a couple more locations. Let's see. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, of course. There was also at Harlem and North Avenue, and there was a Sears store there. Also, there was one on where I lived in Roseland neighborhood when I was in the early 70s when I was a kid. It was like 114th place in Michigan in between. There's a photo of that on Facebook. And my mom went there a couple times. She remembered that. And there was the sign, the Hillman sign like that. What was special about this store was the shopping bags. It had Hillman's on it. It was a white shopping bag. It had multicolors with all the letters in there. And I thought it was kind of cool. I think my father had it one time. He put his tools in there one time when we in the basement like that. I'm trying to find a bag that is like the holy grail of Vanna Chicagoland. Trying to find a shopping bag with Hillman's on it. So, and it's hard to find, unless somebody has it in their garage, they have it in their attic, or it's stuck between some stuff. If somebody has it, please post it, on my Vanna Chicagoland page. Oh, I would love it to see it. I would love to. The only thing that came close was there was a photo and there was a man carrying that bag in downtown, but it was very small. So I enlarged it, but it was the bag. So that would be nice to see that. Anyway, so Hillman's closed about 1983. All the stores closed. And then I think it was about 1980. Between 1980 and 83, all the stores were closing because of competition. But Stop and Shop closed around 1983. And there was no more, which is a shame. Because people like that, they love the store, and they had very unique products, baked goods and all kinds of cookies, nuts. And I found some candy tins on eBay. Also, they had coffee, with their own brand. They had Hillman's beer. They had that. I don't know where the brewery was. Maybe it was at 43rd and Pulaski. Maybe. I don't know. So I still search on eBay or online for locations and products for Hillman's. It was a great store. Yeah, a lot of people miss it. Okay. So that's it for this show. I talked so long. This is a very long show. I apologize. So I'll do a recap of what I talked about. I talk about my memories in comparison of two animated TV shows, Speed Racer and Prince Planet. They aired in Chicago on Channel 32 and Channel 44. Also, I talked about Hillman's Pure Food Store in Chicago. I talked about the history of that. So that's it. I apologize again for making this a long episode, but I had fun talking about this, and I hope you, once this podcast is published, you could listen to the entire show. I'm sorry for yammering like that. Okay, so once this episode is published, it'll be available where podcasts are: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Overcast, Breaker. Stitcher is gone. You can't listen to that anymore. Someone told me it's on iHeartRadio. Maybe it is. It could be. Or I don't know if it's on Sirius. The satellite radio. Maybe. I'm not. I haven't signed up for that, but we'll see. I don't know. I have to find out. Also, this will be published on my blog, vanishchicagoland.blog. Also, my YouTube channel, Vanish Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. People still ask me, where do I find your podcast? A couple of people asked me yesterday. Go to YouTube, do a search, Vanish Chicagoland Stories. You will find it. Subscribe. You will get a notification of a new episode. You're all set. Also be published on my social media account, Facebook, Twitter, X, that is Instagram, and Threads. Okay. It's also on Reddit if you have Reddit. Okay. The funny thing is, I do publish now on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, help yourself. They're there. Okay. So this is Pico Stanis, your host of Vanish Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. Thank you for joining me. I had a great time. I'll probably do another episode Tuesday. We'll see. I'll give it some thought. And everyone have a great Sunday. It's a beautiful day. It looks gorgeous. The sky is blue. It's not that cold. So have fun, And bye-bye for me. And here's a little traveling music with Ray Rayner saying bye, bye, bye. Take care, everyone, and so long.
We have to go. Bye, bye, bye.